Hey guys, before you start listening to this episode, this is just a disclosure that we are going to be talking about suicide, depression, and mental illness. This is just a little trigger warning in case you do not want to hear about those things. Thank you.
Hello everyone and welcome to yet another episode of the Filmocity podcast. I'm Freddy.
I'm Anna.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm probably Shaden.
And today we are talking about the film All the Bright Places, which is currently available on Netflix. This film is based on a book that has the same title, and it's the story of a girl and a boy who meet each other at a very difficult time in their life, and they fall in love. It's kind of traditional teen romance with a bit of a twist on it. We should just start by going spoiler-free, say what we thought of the film.
Anna, back me up. So, this movie doesn't do anything that I objectively hate. I know Fredrik is not totally agree.
Oh, we'll get to it.
Yeah. So, I think in terms of just the production value, Netflix always has a really strong production value, obviously. I think all their films are shot in a really specific way, and this one, I think, stands out as one of the better ones that they've made in terms of look. The cinematography I felt was interesting. It was unique. It wasn't just like the bland cookie cutter shit that you see all over Netflix. And yeah, the story obviously adapted from a book. It was a bestseller book, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So it had a good base to go off. Obviously this movie is more intended towards teenage young adults rather than flat cap wearing Swedes. So
Okay.
Personally, I really enjoyed it. I think it's it makes you reminisce of like a time that you probably don't even have, but it makes you think back to like spending time with like someone back when you're young and free and didn't have to worry about jobs and shit. It's a touching story. I like it. I personally like where it goes and this message it tries to tell. So yeah, that's my opinion.
I went into this film with really low expectations. Me and my friend, we went to watch it a number of months ago, and we started to watch it, and well, we got a bit bored, so we stopped, and I thought, I've heard so many bad things about this, I just don't want to watch it, like, it's going to be bad. But now that we're watching it for this podcast, I was like, okay, we'll give it another shot. It wasn't actually as bad as I expected. I really liked it. It wasn't my most favourite film ever. There was definitely a lot of cliches going on, but I did enjoy it. The story and the message really hit on another level. I was like, wow, like little tears coming down my face and stuff type vibe, you know?
Which, by the way, that's not hard to make Jacob cry, so.
What is?
Is it?
I haven't cried.
You cried over my script, motherfucker.
Oh, yeah,
It
well.
was so bad. Oh my god,
Yeah.
make you read this shit.
Yeah, the colour grading it was a very bright film. No pun intended. There's like a montage of when the two main characters go on a journey and just have fun, all loving and caring. It was like, oh, it's quite heartfelt and warm and colourful. It was quite nice.
I did go into it being like, this is a Netflix teen romance kind of film. But I had seen, that there were warnings on it, and I like things that are quite dramatic, and I was like, oh, what happened? I'm nosy as hell, so I was like, I've got to watch this movie. Roped a bunch of my friends into doing the watch party for it over lockdown, and I thought it was done really well. I hadn't read the book. I definitely heard of it. I had no idea what I was going into. I think the way that they handled the subjects throughout the film was done very well. It was in a way that I hadn't seen done before. It wasn't supposed to make you sad and mopey when you're watching it. And it is like the title. It's showing that there's like a lot of like happy moments, and they're trying to like keep each other up throughout the film, even with all this underlying more sad tones. Trying to compare it to 13 Reasons Why, which I know some people have. I don't think that's right. I think they may tackle a few of the same subjects around, depression and mental disorders and whatnot. But I think, anyone can watch it, even if, you may struggle with bipolar disorder, which I do, and I wasn't feeling like they did anything wrong. I thought it was a good depiction of it, compared to some parts of 13 Reasons Why, which I also love, where it kind of tries to play it up a bit more, and they try to over-dramatize it for TV.
Well, they do.
They do.
Yeah.
All the bright places felt quite realistic.
Yeah.
It wasn't. They weren't overdoing anything.
It was quite humble the way that they.
I look at it and I feel like it's almost poetically realistic.
Yeah.
Which I really like. It's not like in your face gritty realism. It's more like poetic. Shit like that.
And I think the way that the characters themselves interact with certain subjects about finding out certain things about each other, like grieving loss and feeling certain ways, I think that it's done in a way where you watch it and you're like, actually, you know, like, I could imagine having this conversation with this person like this, and it's not like a real person wouldn't say these things. There were definitely a few moments that I was watching and I was like, if it was, you know, real life, I don't think someone would say that this way or go and do this thing. But
I don't think it was
very
ever
sweet.
overbearing.
No,
Yeah.
it was never really over the top.
That's the risk with Netflix films. They're known for that corny over-traumatization of shit. So that's kind of why I was against watching it at first, because I thought, oh, it's just going to be so bad over-dramatization of everything, like so many of the other films that they've made, but this one actually wasn't like that at all, which was good, and part of the reason why I did actually enjoy it.
Okay,
And now
Mr.
we have
Controversial in the
Fredrik.
corner.
I'm gonna say, because I
was going to say, fuck this!
yeah, I'm clearly the only one who didn't care for this film, and like, I don't like shitting on movies because I know how hard it is to get them made and make them, and how many people work really hard on them. That being said, though, I did not really care for this movie at all. I mean, like you guys said, I did think that cinematography was nice. The use of colors was really nice. It was edited very well, and there were some good performances in it. Unfortunately, I thought that the leads had zero chemistry with each other. I did not buy for a second that they loved or fell in love with each other. Not once. Thought that Justice Smith was so wrong for that role because he's not charming enough for it. I felt like, because I watched this with my wife, and we both felt that he was just extremely creepy throughout the whole film. Like, I think we had gotten like 15 minutes in, and my wife was like, I feel like this film is going to end with him murdering her because he's giving up some serious psycho vibes right now.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I have like so many notes. Should we just like get into spoilers? So we can, like,
Would you have liked it more if they did?
if he killed her?
Yeah.
It would have made sense, but I don't think I would have liked it anymore.
Jesus.
See, I thought he was actually really good. Because I've
think
seen him
he
in a bunch
portrayed
of
the
movies where he
character
just
really well.
screams the whole time.
Oh yeah, like
Jurassic World.
Yeah.
And,
I loved him in Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, I did, but I felt like he was...
It is definitely his most like.
See, the thing is, I think he was realistic.
Okay.
He was trying to do something and he was failing miserably for like half a film.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like utterly realistic in terms of like teenagers trying to be smooth or teenagers trying to like...
Oh yeah, I thought it was quite witty, and I thought it was like on purpose, not him just being a bad actor or something, but actually like just genuinely portraying a really witty, stupid teenager.
Yeah.
No,
trying to
like I
impress
don't
someone.
think he's bad. 'Cause, like I really liked him in the Netflix show The Get Down. I thought he was good in Jurassic World 2, even though that movie was kind of all over the place. I liked him in Detective Pikachu. I love Elle Fanning. I think she's amazing in most things. Like, I'm watching a show with her right now.
Is this The Great?
Yeah, The Great.
Fuck, I love
She's
that.
so good in it. I don't know. I just felt like they didn't really have the chemistry to like draw me in. I mean, clearly I'm the odd one out on this one.
Yeah. I think
oldest.
it's a really charming... Actually, I found it really charming.
Okay.
Because it's almost like... It reminds me of someone... It even reminds me of aspects of myself where it's like... You'll go out of your way to do things for someone that you like.
Yep.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, that's so true as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe it's just reminding you of something you don't want to remember from 10 years ago.
What happened in Sweden? Fredrik?
Bro, what happened in Sweden stays in Sweden. It genuinely might be a generational thing. I mean, there's not a lot
Could
Mm.
of years between us, but
But
we
yeah,
definitely grew
yeah.
up in different
Yeah.
settings.
I feel you guys should have picked up on more than me, just because you are younger. It's just how fucking toxic this guy is.
Oh no, that's the point, I think.
Yeah.
Like, the whole way through, like, I was just, like, angry the whole film.
Yeah.
Kept ignoring her, pressured her into basically falling in love with him, pressured her into hanging out with him, pressured her into... Like, he was, like, always on, like, oh, tell me about this, tell me about your life, tell me about you. And
He
she
was very
eventually
secretive
did.
about his...
Yeah, and then if she asked him, he would, like, deflect, ignore her, walk away. And I was like, okay, I'm not feeling this at all.
Yeah.
And then his friends were just like, we just put up with it. And I was like, no, you fucking don't. Like, if someone acts like this, you don't fucking put up with it. You either tell them or you fuck off. Seriously, like, I was getting, me and my wife, we were like screaming at the TV as we like, I was so heated in this film. And when you don't like a film, then you start picking up on like little things that just annoy you. Like, so this guy goes out and runs a lot.
Oh, so
he runs in his fucking van. Who runs in van? He will fuck up his knees by the time he's 24.
We're full spoilers now, by the way.
Yeah, and then so his name is Theodore Finch, right?
Yes.
He lives with his sister, right?
Yeah.
His sister calls him Finch. That's like if you would call your little brother Lowry. Like, what the fuck?
I mean,
would you not call him Theo or have like call him by his name? Would you call your family member by their last name? I was like, who the fuck wrote this? And then the dialogue is so like, it's the kind of dialogue where it's like it wants to like be, oh, I'm so deep and serious and like I want to be looked at as like, oh, this pretentious teen movie, but it's fucking not. It's like one of those people that like thinks they're cool and then have to like tell you all the time, like, hey, look how cool I am, but they're really not fucking cool. Like, a cool dude is like cool because like you just like they don't have to like keep affirming that. And this is that kind of film that like thinks that, oh, look how cool I fucking am. Look at this fucking wordy dialogue I have. Like, I'm gonna just break out into these fucking deep monologues that don't fucking mean shit. And then I think he says like 15 or 20 minutes into the film, he says something like, oh, I'm trying to teach you how to enjoy stuff when I'm not here. And I was like, if this motherfucker kills himself by the end of this film, this is going on my worst fucking movies of all time list. And sure fucking enough, like, he finds this girl he finds this girl who clearly is suffering from not only PTSD but survivor's guilt. And then he makes her fall in love with him, and then he goes and fucking kills himself. Like, how the fuck is this not gonna fuck her up for the rest of her life?
Yeah,
like, like the people she loves is fucking offing themselves around it. I was like,
well,
fuck this. Okay, I'm done.
okay.
Jesus Christ.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
I don't think he was very open about that sort of stuff, but I think it makes his character, and I think it's consecutive throughout the film, and I think that's the way that it gets a pass.
At least they didn't
for
just
it.
wedge it in.
Yeah. It wasn't like he suddenly changed to be like this. It was like you were hints of it through.
And personally, I kind of understand it more because I got into a relationship where I thought I cared about the person, but I didn't. But I mean, I didn't want it to look like I didn't, but I didn't want to be with her. So I mean, I like tried to force myself to be with her. But I didn't want to be with her, and it was like this big mess. So I feel like that's why I connected with it as well.
But that's the thing, is like, is he sees her try to kill herself, and then he sort of helps her out of that situation.
Well, she doesn't.
And then he kind of like targets her. This is why my wife was like, he's a psychopath, because he was like, this girl, she sort of feels something similar to me. I'm gonna go for this girl. And then he like did everything he could to be like, showed up at her house at night, was like, I want to be with this girl. Like, if you're not gonna be with me on this school project, and I'm gonna do this, and that. So I was.
Did he do that?
I do think that's.
Like, like he was just like targeted her.
I think that is one way to look at it, but I personally, that's not what I picked up on straight away. I did think it was a matter of he did see her contemplating that. I don't think it was a matter of like, I'm going to target her, I'm going to like try to save her, that sort of the hero act sort of thing. I think it was more he felt something similar to her and was like, he made his own connection with her, even if at first she didn't feel the same way. But I don't think it's not meant to come across like that. But there are people who have mentioned that they picked up on, if it had been written a slightly different way, it would have gone straight like that. And he probably would have, I don't know, turned out to be a murderer or something, which I think would be a cool take on the film. But I know that when I've been around some people, because he has bipolar disorder, and I think there's definitely times when I'm like, oh, so what, how'd you grow up, where are you from, that sort of thing, and then they ask me and I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. Because I get why he was kind of like that, because you don't want people, usually people don't want to know other people's struggles, like they don't want them to know that they're going through this. They want to just play it off and be like, it's all good, let's keep going.
So that was like at the group session when he said no labels, right? No tags.
Yeah.
It was like he didn't want to say it almost.
I think this would have worked better, and I think this is something that they changed from the book. I think it would have worked better if she would have saved him from killing himself, and then she would try to get to know him, and then he would turn out to be this character, rather than him doing like all this work to get with her.
Like a bit at the start to like
Yeah.
build them a bit more together
Yeah.
before.
Because I think in the book
Yeah.
they meet each other when they both try to do it
Yeah,
at the same time.
yeah, at the school bell tower.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's like New Mutants. They move
Yeah,
the Bell Tower.
Oh my god! That was so
stop
cute.
bringing it up.
I looked up some reviews for the people for this film, and the people who had read the book were most of them were like, they changed so much. The characters are very different. Like Finch, for example, when he has like his manic periods, he will like change his appearance. That's why people are like, oh, he's such a freak because he's like always like different hair or like different outfits or trying like different style, like all that stuff. I do get what they were trying to go for with this film, but I kind of felt like ultimately in the end, when she has her big monologue and like reading of this book, I've kind of felt like the film. This is where I thought it was kind of offensive, because I felt like I felt like they were romanticizing suicide, which is why I would not recommend this film to someone who would go through these things, because I feel like this film kind of makes suicide look like a beautiful thing almost in a way.
I don't.
And like how you can like affect everyone around you and how you can leave something for them so they can grow.
I think.
I didn't.
Yeah, I have 2 points with that. Firstly, being, I do think if I had watched this film like a couple years ago, it wouldn't have made me feel great at all.
Yeah.
But I know some people have said like they think it glorifies, like suicide and depression and stuff. But I think it's more written for the people who have been on the other hand, who have lost someone to it, and how they're trying to, grieve and move forward, because it's fucking shit. And I know that like after my best friend passed away, I was very much like how Al's character is in the very start, and she just doesn't want any friends because you do feel like, what if something happens to them? I don't want to build relationships with people and then they'll leave, sort of thing. And I definitely understand like why she was like that, rather than like watching her and being like, how come she doesn't want any friends? Like, why doesn't she want people to support her and be there for her? So yeah, I definitely felt a very strong connection to the film, and no points of like positivity, negativity, really. Just more like I saw it and I was like, I understand this, because on my part, I lost my best friend to suicide 2 years ago, earlier this year, and then I lost another friend of mine a few months ago in a car accident. So it's kind of like the opposite of what Violet goes through in the film. And I definitely know that when it first happens, like, it's really hard, because I came back that afternoon that I got a phone call. I was living in Wellington, and my hometown is like 2 hours away, roughly. And I drove back, and just like walking into the house and like seeing his mum and seeing everyone, it's the most like gut-wrenching feeling. You just feel really sick. I had a lot of mates that I worked with, and when I came back, I don't think I really talked to anyone for like at least a month afterwards, other than like, asking them where something is and like serving customers. But you really do like shut down as a person, and then having to go through it again earlier this year, it's really fucking hard. And it kind of breaks you, because it happened in the same month. Like, it happened like a week out from Ryan's anniversary, and I just remember all of our friends, because it was our same friend group from school, we just lost this other person same month, almost 2 years on, like, to the day. And it's one of the most awful things to just think, what if it happens again? And I'm always worried that that's going to happen now. And I think that the way she was able to build a relationship with someone who she could talk to about, like her sister and stuff, and even though, in the end she loses him, she does feel different. She feels like she's more open. She's gone up in front of this class and is reading this piece about him. You can see it's easier for her to talk about it now, and because she's learnt how to get over her grief from the initial accident with her sister, and she's grown a lot, I feel like it's still going to be hard, but she'll know how to cope with it more, and it's easier to understand like the stages you go through of grief, which everyone either has gone through or will go through at some point, and there's no way to stop it. And I think the way they portray in the film her slowly opening up, even though she's stubborn as hell, and every time Finch is like, come on, stand on this rock with me, and like, do all these things, convincing you to get in the car and stuff. And at times it does seem very pushy. And I know that I've had friends, like last year I had Charlie trying to be like, come do this thing, and I'll be like, okay. And you eventually, like the moment you let someone in, as hard as it is, it does get easier to like express yourself. And even it takes like even one person to know about your situation to then understand why you might have to go home early from a party, or you might not want to even go. I can't remember where I was going with this tangent. It's just a matter of, I think the way that they've made this into a film, and I don't think it's glorified it at all. I think it's for the people like us who have gone through something similar.
Yeah.
It's easier for us to understand and see it from another person's perspective.
Yeah, I think it represents a lot of what you feel afterwards. It shows you a lot of, like you said, I think that person that you're talking about, the person that like pushes you, I think they're personally one of the most important people to coming back around. Because without that person, it's extremely hard to get yourself back into the world and all that kind of stuff. So I personally think, in terms of my personal experience, without having that kind of person, it would be difficult. But yeah, I felt like I agree with you. I don't think it glorifies it as much as it just tries to shed some light on it.
Yeah.
I think in terms of glorifying...
Let me ask this then. If you have the person that pushes you back to to sort of feeling normal again, and then when you're sort of at that peak and now you're falling in love with that person and that person goes and kills himself, would you not be worse than before then?
You see,
like we're talking real life now.
Yeah, okay. So personally, I think in the film, I think what he does is he plants seeds for her, because he's like a ticking time bomb. I think he says he doesn't even know when.
Yeah, I mean, I think that from the very beginning it's very clear that he does not want to be, or he wants to sort of do this.
Yeah. So I think that he's trying to open her back up to the world, but I think
he did his duty and then he left.
Well, I also think you can't even like really blame him. I mean, when you're in that kind of headspace, a lot of things don't make sense and you don't think about a lot of things. So it's not like, I don't think his intention from the start was to meet her and make her fall in love and then kill himself, right?
Yeah, no.
It was kind of just like it's something that actually happens where you see someone right one day and the next day they might be gone. And it's like you can't even tell and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't think it glorifies or does anything like that from my personal point of view. But I can understand how it might be a bit sensitive. I think other films deal with it a lot worse than this does. It kind of enlightens it.
It enlightens
I wouldn't
it.
say glorifies it, romanticizes it.
Romanticizes it.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, about how like one person can be okay one day and the next day.
So
that's definitely what being bipolar is like. And sometimes it's a matter of like 15 minutes, you suddenly feel sad and then you're back again. Sometimes it can be, for days, even for longer. It's different with like every person and like what's going on in their lives. And I do think for him, I think it might have been a bit of peace to find someone, know that he's made her feel better. And by the end of it, we see her laughing and smiling, and even though, her world goes to shit at the end, before she starts to, I guess, rebuild her life once again, he knows that she's going to be okay because she's gotten through it. I don't know, I think that's something that he's definitely taken into account. Even if he himself was feeling shit, he knows that she's okay.
Yeah, I guess also it's almost like the thing was he'd kind of opened her eyes back up to the world in a way that even she was like, I want to see everything, I don't want to, that line that she said at the end about I'm not scared of death, I'm scared about not knowing or not seeing everything, or something like that. I think that was a really good line. Because they obviously connected. Yeah. And then they kind of built that relationship up from there. But I think you could see her over time, like, she started enjoying going out more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
And then, like, from my point of view, that was the whole kind of reconstruction phase. And then you have, unfortunately, him killing himself. But it also, at the same time, it was like the reinvigoration of like that whole life is like what he felt confident that she would continue on with, just because he managed to get her back up to the point. I'm guessing he probably felt confident that if he left, she would probably stoop down again, but she eventually would come back up
Yeah.
because now she knows how to regrow almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that. So Brett Haley was the director.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just been reading a bunch of like articles about stuff he's talked in, and he did say like he wanted it to be a grey area, and he says, I want people to feel like they could have a conversation about mental health after they watch this film and what they think happened with Finch. And I think that's good because that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, literally.
It's taking a long time, but the like stigma and stuff around mental health and, you know, not showing it on screen and not feeling comfortable talking about it and stuff, I feel like it's getting better.
Yeah.
I feel like it's definitely
It's
changing.
not, you know, putting a stop to it or anything. Like, there's nothing we'll ever be able to do about that. But if we can
People
talk
are
more
open
openly,
talking about it.
yeah, then,
It's
you know,
good.
you never know.
People aren't afraid of hiding it as
Yeah.
much anymore.
You never
feel
know
confident.
who might, you know, hear it and take something good away from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's going to be bad, but there's going to be good. Like, I know maybe like a year ago I wouldn't have like told people I was bipolar or that I have off days all the time. But like now I feel more open talking about it because I just not necessarily don't care, but I don't worry that people are going to judge me for it because I'm like, if you know me, you will have probably picked up on it anyway.
So let's get into the filmmaking section where we each talk about an area of our expertise. I'm an actor, Shaden is a director, Jacob is a cinematographer, and Anna is a screenwriter.
Yeah, well, I think the directing style was solid. I think he did some interesting things in terms of just giving us a character that we don't usually see. We don't see like a character that we in real life we wouldn't like as much. But I think it was almost brave in a way because it means that he's given himself extra work to try and make this character likable. I personally think he succeeded. I know you don't think he succeeded, but for me, I think the character is charming in his own way. He's not like a, you know, stereotypical charming person, which I like because it's almost like he's one of us. He's just another guy, and that's the thing I think I like the most about this film is nothing's over the top. The craziest scene is on a roller coaster. It was slow paced, which I liked. It wasn't trying to move too fast. The cutting, like you said, the editing was really nice. The shot selection was also good. I think both the actors did a good job. I don't understand what you're saying about the chemistry, but I think they still did a good enough job where it didn't bother me as much because individually they were great.
Yeah.
And it would kind of make sense to me that they weren't clicking as well. So maybe that's why I didn't pick up on the chemistry. Yeah, the director has some really solid films out there. I think this is honestly, I think it's a really decent film. It doesn't do anything insane. I think it was a solid style. He didn't. There was like no weird shifts out of nowhere with the characters that felt weird. I feel like his blocking was also quite good. I really like the way he envisioned scenes and set up shots. I think he's definitely more of a visual director where he likes to leave a lot more visual cues over.
I like that.
Yeah, which is personally what I prefer as well. So yeah, he has that same kind of style as Savage where the shots are just long and they just kind of sit, which I really like.
So it's from a visual perspective with cinematography. The cinematography was done by Rob Givens, so shout out to him for making a good looking film. He definitely did a nice job. I think it was one of the opening shots. There's a couple of wider angles when Violet's on the bridge and Theo or Finch, he's like looking at her. It's quite aesthetic. Obviously it's quite a dark thing what's happening, but it looked visually really nice. And I mentioned this earlier, there was a montage partway through when they start their road trip adventure. They're going around in the van, they're singing, they're dancing in the fields. I think Violet's wearing like yellow shirt, blue overalls. It looks really nice. It's like a good mix of colours. And she just looks nice too, so it's alright. Yeah, lots of bright colours, lots of aesthetic shots. Honestly, there's a couple of overhead shots, a couple of shots looking up at the trees going through. Looks quite nice as well.
Scene you said when they were in the field.
Yeah.
Like when that scene happened, I like outright said, "Why the fuck are they frolicking in a field right now?" I was like, "Where did this come from?"
They were just having
I always
fun.
frolic in a field, Fredrik.
Bro, have you never frolicked in a field?
It's my favourite pastime.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
There's the scenes in the classroom, the tight shots, looking down.
Weird.
There's the shots in the classroom look really nice. They were like long shots. Sorry, looking like down the aisles, focusing on Finch at his desk, being distracted and doing all sorts of crazy shit. They were really nice shots. I don't think there's no shots that come to mind that I didn't like per se. Oh, the build up on the roller coaster. I always thought something bad was going to happen because they were really long shots. They really winded them out. It felt really dramatic. I felt like something bad was going to happen every time.
Holy fuck, yes! I thought they were going to fly the fuck off.
Yeah, especially like I thought he's going to do it. It's going to be fun, and then she gets on and she's all happy, and then something bad's going to happen. It's all going to go down from here. But no, that was just the start of something great. So that scared me a little bit. Yeah, that's
Are you
what I have to say.
referencing how the shot? Like, I think that roller coaster scene was really nicely shot.
Yeah, it was nicely
they
shot,
could have done
but
it in such a
they made it
weird-
they really like it felt really like build up dramatic with the way the long shots went out. So like it's like a build up as it slowly goes up and then.
Yeah, but I like the way that they shot it because it was just like it wasn't shot like some kind of like Hollywood blockbuster.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a
Yeah.
GoPro on the
It was
front.
just it was just like.
Yeah, the camera just followed them around
instead
slowly
of it being
in real
like
time.
chopping everywhere, it's like they
Yeah,
did
not
it really
8
nicely.
takes jumping over a fence, shit like that.
They did it really nicely. Yeah.
Fredrik have a yarn to us about the acting.
Well, like I said, I have liked pretty much all the actors that are in this film in other stuff, so I do know that they're really good actors.
It is a really good cast.
It is, and I was kind of like, why did they get Keegan-Michael Key from Key and Peele to be in here for 2 scenes?
I
and
love him,
Literally do
He
nothing.
was good though.
He was good, but like,
I
you
didn't
could have
know.
got anyone
Come
for
on,
that.
man.
I know, but I
You gotta
didn't
work
know
with
he was in it, and I think it was a bit of fun just to
Yeah.
to chuck him in. Even though it was a small scene, I feel like they could have easily just cast any random, and no one would have batted an eye. But I do think it was fun because I spotted him and I was like, oh my god, I know this guy.
I do like seeing people like that. And
little cameos, eh?
I thought that Elle Fanning was really good.
She is.
No, like she sold. It almost kind of felt like she must have like drawn on something personal because I felt like her performance was like so like precise and because it's easy. I think it's kind of easy for an actor to sort of like overdo a role like that and just be like almost whiny.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that from her at all. It really felt like she was like just grieving and like in this really dark place.
It helps that she didn't say a lot.
Yeah. Like Justice Smith, like I said, I don't think that he was, because like I feel like if you're gonna have a role like that's so like on you all the time, I kind of feel like you need
Intense.
Like
in
fire
sort
on
of
hot shit.
like super intense. I kind of feel like clearly I'm the odd one out, but I felt like you need to have an actor that is more charismatic, someone that you kind of want him to keep doing that.
Maybe, but then I think I'll just turn into another romance film.
Maybe, and I guess maybe that was kind of what I was expecting when I went in, so maybe that's why.
Yeah.
You're
So you
disappointed.
sort of
I wanted some kissing.
Because I sort of maybe I just went in with like the wrong attitude. I don't know, but he does the role well. But for me, at least, I didn't feel like he played all of the emotional beats right. There was stuff when I was kind of like, I don't know where like what you're going for or where you're at, and I just couldn't really I didn't really get a read of his character, and maybe that's
Part of his
maybe that's just like part of what he went for, that he wanted to be so sort of unpredictable, but didn't really work for me.
I thought it was written very well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely do pick up on like when things are written into a film for the sake of someone having to say it through dialogue rather than showing it. There were a few moments where I was like, oh, it's a bit cheesy. I don't know why someone would say something like this when you are literally showing it on a screen, which is something I think is a big difference between screenwriting and writing a book. In a book, you definitely have to detail it because as much as people can imagine it in their head, you need to show them the path of like what they should be imagining and thinking when they're reading, compared to film where it's shown. They show you what you're meant to see, and you are easily able to follow that most of the time. I definitely thought the dialogue was good. I personally struggle with dialogue, and I think for this sort of subject, it was quite good to not have them expressively be talking about, death and all that sort of stuff in the time, which is a difference from the book where Theodore is much more open about talking about his curiosity about how people die and depression, and that he wants to kill himself one day, sort of that sort of stuff. Yeah, I've just been reading that there's quite a few differences between the book and the film. They did leave out Violet's passion for writing, which I had read about, so that is something that I guess we see at the end when she's reading her piece of writing, but she has a much bigger part in the book where her and her sister actually have like an online magazine, and she does a lot more writing and stuff, and they kind of get the broader bits and bobs of that.
That was referenced, right?
Yeah.
I think
The
they say,
website was the blog.
Yeah.
Was
And I think she says like one time I wanted to be a writer or something.
Yeah. But
they don't go further than that.
it wasn't like a diary entry every day sort of thing. But yeah, Finch definitely has more of a fascination with death in the book than in the film, though it's not hard to miss in the film nonetheless. Yeah, there's a few characters left out, like we meet Finch's dad in the book.
We haven't read the book. We don't know what we're missing.
Yeah.
Whereas you've read the book, so you know what was missing. Or like people who really like the book and then saw the film, they'd probably be disappointed. Like, oh, I like this character, or I like this part. It's missing from the film. Fuck you.
Yeah.
But it's also like when you adapt something, it's a completely different medium, so you have to like
You
not
do
word
have
for
to.
word
change
type
stuff.
shit.
Yeah.
I think that's
Happened
something.
with every bloody book.
Yeah, so every like book to screen
Alex Rider.
adaptation is always going to be different, because there's a lot of stuff that you can say in a book but you can't necessarily show on film. You can't always, I mean, unless you have like an incredible actor who can show all these intense scenes and stuff, as well as there are definitely limits to filmmaking.
Oh, absolutely.
With the simplest stuff of like camera movement and stuff, you can't always show this and that.
I always kind of feel like as long as they get the essence of the story and they get sort of like the characters right, I kind of feel like when you do an adaptation you can change most things as long as you stay true to like the core
Yeah,
things. But
definitely. One thing I actually preferred the movie doing was at the end when she goes to the lake to try and find Finch after she like figures out what he's done. She actually swims out and tries to find him, and I think that, I mean, personally I think that's quite scary. I don't like dealing with that sort of stuff. I'm also very afraid of water, and I think it would have been awful if she could see his body underneath.
it was definitely better than the book.
Oh, that would have just been the absolute worst.
That would have been a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, I would have freaked out a lot more. But I think it was good that we just have her kind of coming to the realization of that, and not that she's accepting it, but there's nothing she can do now, and she just breaks down. And I think that was shot really well as well, and I think it was written really well.
All right, let's get into some ratings. What do we all think? I've said this like twice on the podcast now already. My favourite scene was the montage when they were frolicking around in a field and driving around in a van and just being lovey-dovey. I'm a sucker for that kind of shit. It's really nice, and I aspire to get nice shots like that one day. So I give this 7 Keegan Keys out of 10.
Okay.
I liked when they were in the train yard. When they were going to the train yard, because like the colors were amazing and it was beautifully set up. I like that.
I had sex.
Yeah.
Calm down.
I thought that shot was just beautiful, and this film didn't really connect with me, but I do really appreciate all your guys' input, because it gives me like a whole different perspective. For me personally,
vice versa.
Yeah, and for me and probably people my generation, maybe older, this might not be it, Chief. So I'll give this I'm giving this movie a 3. 3 dumbasses running in Converse out of 10.
I quite liked a lot of the scenes. I do like the scene where they're at Finch is standing on the rock and trying to convince Violet to come stand up and be like, this is the tallest point in our town. I think it's a really sweet scene. I think it's shot really well. But I definitely enjoy, it's strange because my biggest fear is water. I like the scene where they first go for a swim and he coaxes her in, and she worries about him, jumps in after him, and he's actually fine. Coming back to the end of it, it plays really well with kind of coming full circle. I think it's a really nice scene, and they have a few arguments and stuff, but I think there's some really sweet moments. And then the scenes underwater, the water was a bit too murky, so they shot that in a blacked out pool.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I said it when I was like, they're in a pool right now.
Yeah.
No
they
way.
wanted to,
because
they needed to set a camera, and because that lake was quite limitless, they can't really have a cameraman treading water for that long. I do really like it. It does hit home quite hard, and it upsets me at times. I am going to give this film a 7.5 roller coaster rides out of 10.
I enjoyed a multitude of scenes, but my favourite image
Mm-hmm.
was definitely when he painted his room, like just that little box, like little square in the middle, blue. Because I think like the imagery,
Where all the post-its and stuff are. Yeah.
I feel like that imagery is so powerful because it's like
Yeah.
Trigger me how he didn't take them all off first and they kept falling off and leaving patches, but
But
that's
yeah,
okay.
I think that the imagery of just that red wall that we've had the whole time, and then now there's this big blue spot in the middle of it. It's like beautiful, so I love that. I'm going to be on the same page as Anna and give it a 7.5 post-it notes out of 10.
Okay.
I think that wraps it up, so...
Yeah, that's it for this episode. Thank you everyone so much for listening.
If you have any films that you'd like us to watch, be it new, be it old, you can leave recommendations on our Instagram, flick us a DM, or in the YouTube comments.
You can find us on Instagram at the Filmocity Podcast, on Twitter at Filmocity Pod, as well as keeping in touch with Instagram, YouTube, and podcasts, and anywhere you can listen to podcasts.
As always, we upload every Thursday at 7 p.m. New Zealand time. So make sure you follow us on all those accounts and social media thingamabobbies.
Chuck
to stay
them
up to
notifications on.
Chuck them notifications on to stay up to date. And as always, thank you for watching from the Filmocity Podcast.
Bye!
Bye.
See you later. Thanks for
Alfred
listening.
Hitchcock is my uncle.
Shut the fuck up!
Hey guys, once again, thank you for listening to our podcast. We do understand that this episode does deal with themes that are extremely personal and maybe hard to deal with. So here is a little hotline in case you would like to contact anyone for help. 0800 543 354. If you are dealing with any thoughts or issues, feel free to call them, they'll help. And if you're outside of New Zealand, just send us a DM on Instagram and we can point you in the right direction for any help you would like.